Hi BookTube, it's that time of year again. It's February, it's Valentine's Day, and here I am with my Valentine's Day love recommendations. Don't worry, for those of you who hate Valentine's Day, I will be doing another video on anti-Valentine's Day reads. I like Valentine's Day because it's always an excuse to get my husband to buy me more books, and you know, I'm shallow in material, so why waste an opportunity? He's had the wish list sent to him already. You know who you are. So the first recommendations for my Valentine's reads are, you've got to, why drag it on? The Queen of Love and Romance, Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. You can't go wrong. I mean, any Jane Austen. I have another one to show you in a minute. I have only recently read Pride and Prejudice. I knew it really well because I've watched Colin Firth in The Shirt, in The Lake. I've seen loads of different adaptations, loved it, but hadn't actually got around to reading the book. I read it at the end of last year and oh my goodness, it is amazing. I love it. It's gone right to the top of my all-time favourites. You know, Mr. Darcy, oh yeah, say no more. So yeah, you can't go wrong with a bit of love for Pride and Prejudice, and this is a really lovely, you can see, vintage red spine edition of the book, so that's really nice. And then my other recommendation for Jane Austen is Persuasion. I think it's one of her lesser known novels, but I absolutely loved it. Again, it was one of the, I'd only actually read a couple of Jane Austens before, and I was sort of in my, I read a lot but I'm not well read, so I need to read Jane Austen, so I only read this towards the end of last year. And I absolutely loved it, and it was one that I didn't know the story of. I went in blind, it was great. But it's all about Anne Elliot, and it's all about longing and denial and passion that's unresolved, and it's just fantastic. And obviously with Jane Austen, you don't need to worry, she sorts it out in the end. But it's just so noble and wonderful, and Anne Elliot is just so self-controlled. I mean, if it was me, I would never ever be like Anne Elliot. I would have just, well, yeah, I'll not give it away, but I couldn't have been self-controlled like she is. This is an absolutely gorgeous leather-bound edition. You can see the beautiful gold embossing. I think it's a Barnes and Noble edition. On the spine, pretty white flowers, little blue on the ending there, and gorgeous salmon end papers. Beautiful edition, fantastic book, brilliant read, fabulous for romance. The next one is One Day. Probably a lot of people have read this one. One Day by David Nicholls. This was a book I actually read on holiday. It's a fantastic beach read as well. It's quite shiny. Again, it's about a couple who sort of miss opportunities along the way of being together, and how we can all see it but they can't see it, and it's just, yeah, about Emma and Dexter. And the concept is, you know, they meet at graduation where they're going to be in a year's time, and it follows them through their lives, and it's just lovely, and it's one I had a lovely weep over as well. You know how it is when you have a really good cry and it's cathartic and you really enjoy your cry, or is that just me? The next one is Captain Corelli's Mandolin by Louis de Bernieres. This again is an absolutely beautiful edition. You know that I do like anything a bit sparkly, and obviously there's a bit of sparkle on the cover, so yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. And this takes you to the island of Kefalonia during the war, and you've got Captain Antonio Corelli, who's an Italian officer who's posted there, and he falls in love with the doctor's daughter, and obviously war gets in the way, and it's an epic taken over years, and your heart is just longing for them to just be left alone, just to be in love, and it's absolutely wonderful. Can't recommend it highly. And it's one of those books when you finish it and you just kind of go, you know. The next one is, we've got a bit of gothic romance there. This is my absolutely horrible edition of Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I have actually bought myself a nicer edition of this because it's my favourite book and I felt like I deserved it, so I'll be showing that in my February book haul. But this is the one that I've had on my shelves for years. This is the original book that I read, and you know, Jane is a fantastic character. She's so spiky, she's such a good feminist icon because, you know, I am no bird and no cage and snares me, I am an independent woman with a free will. Yes, Jane, go for it. And then obviously we've got the fabulous mad woman in the attic, Mr. Rochester. He's a bit of a bad boy, you know, maybe there are some worries about his behaviour, but, you know, it's just a fabulous gothic romance and you root for Jane all along and I just love it still. The next one is The Time Traveller's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. This is all, it's quite hard to get your head around it at first because it does jump around from different time period to different time period. But you quickly get into it. I think it's a book that you need to immerse yourself in. You need to sort of, you know, you can't just read the odd chapter here and there. You really need to give it a good read. But once it sucks you in, it is absolutely wonderful. And it's the story of Claire and Henry. Henry's got this weird genetic condition where he moves through time and he appears at different ages in his life. But Claire obviously is growing up. So he first meets Claire when she's a little girl, and it's the story of their love story, and it's absolutely wonderful. I did really enjoy the film adaptation of this as well. I think they did a good job because it was quite a difficult story to do. And again, this is another one I read on holiday, and the sun was shining, everybody was having a good time, and I was on my sunbed weeping, bawling my eyes out. But it was a good cry, again, a good cry, but oh yeah. My husband was slightly alarmed. It's like, you're on holiday, you're having a good time, why are you crying? But it's like, oh, Henry. Not to give any spoilers away. The next one, there seems to be a lot of a theme with crying and weeping here. This is another one that actually made me cry my eyes out, and this is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. I was quite late to this because it was a very popular book. As you can see, it's sold over 1 million. And when I read the blurb on the back, it was a book I would never ever have picked up normally. Because it involves, you know, carers and disability, and not that I'm against all that, but it just seems like it might have been a little bit saccharine for me. But actually I thought, well, you know, I need to have a proper opinion on it, so I can't have a proper opinion unless I read it. So I read it, and oh my goodness, I am so glad I did. And it's absolutely wonderful. It deals with a lot of ethical dilemmas and ethical issues. It deals with prejudice. It deals with love conquering all, and it's just absolutely fantastic. It's another one that I wept for about 3 hours solid after I finished reading it. I don't want to put you off reading any of these books. It's a good therapeutic cry. Don't think, oh no, I'm not going to read that because it'll make me miserable. They don't make you miserable. They just, yeah, just don't. I mean, I cried at Jane Eyre and she gets with him at the end, so don't worry. I'm just soft. I did actually tweet Jojo Moyes when I'd finished reading this book to say, what the hell have you done to me? I'm a wreck. And she tweeted back to pass me a virtual tissue, so I thought that was really nice of Jojo. Yeah, thanks for the puffy face and the red eyes, but thoroughly recommend it. Fantastic Valentine's read. The next one is The Readers of Broken Wheel recommend by Katarina Bivald. I think she's a Swedish writer. It's quite a new book. This is a lovely bright yellow hardback book with lovely spotties in the end papers. Lovely, pretty and girly and nice, and yeah. And it's all about falling in love, but it's got a bookshop in it as well, and it's about books. What could be better? Books and love and romance. Just, I mean, come on. And it takes the story of, I can't remember the name of the protagonist in it, Sarah, there you go. She's Swedish and she's been corresponding with an elderly lady in the town of Broken Wheel in America, and they share in the book Love. Sarah comes over to visit the elderly lady to find that she's died. But the town invite her to just stay on in the house, and because she's no job, she's at a loose end. The old lady owns a shop which Sarah turns into a bookshop, and basically all the the ills in the town are healed through the books and through the bookshop and through Sarah's enthusiasm and the shake-up that a stranger has come into the town, and obviously there is a love story at the heart of it. So yeah, recommend this one. It's probably not going to make you cry, so that's a good one if you're thinking, oh my god, I want to slip my wrists after reading all them, which you won't. Therapeutic cries are good, but this one shouldn't make you cry. It did make me cry, and obviously, you know, I'm a bit of a softie. And the final one I'm going to recommend is a Cecelia Ahearne book, and it's called How to Fall in Love. This is a book I would never have picked up. I'm not averse to chick lit. I think it's got its place, and sometimes, like Christmas, chick lit seems to be the only books I want to read. There is always a place for it. But I was sent this a while back by Good Housekeeping magazine to give an honest review. So I read it, and I was blown away. I absolutely was so surprised by how much I enjoyed this book. And basically, the protagonist is Christine, and the guy in it is called Adam, and she finds him on a bridge in Dublin at night, contemplating throwing himself off, and she gives herself 2 weeks to give him a reason to not throw himself off the bridge, and it's absolutely fantastic. The story is lovely. It's not sappy, it's not sickly sweet. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a heartwarming, lovely love story. But it's fun. You'll devour it. You'll whip through it, and I thoroughly recommend it. So yeah, so that's How to Fall in Love by Cecelia Ahearne. Reading things like this one and maybe Jojo Moyes has sort of taught me through my reading life that never dismiss a book. You never know until you try it. So those are my Valentine's recommendations. All lovely, romantic, fabulous, hug in a book loves. I will be doing my anti-Valentine's Day video soon as well, but that one is for the lovers amongst you, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!